Dude, my Celica always wanted a big brother.
Y'all don't even like me, no, I'm staring in the mirror. Voices, nigga. Claim me the greatest, the shy, but timid, the riddles.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back for another video. So today this video is going to be 5 things that I love about my Toyota Celica GTS. Alright, so one thing I wanted to say before we talk about 5 things I love about my Celica GTS is that I actually got my short ram intake. I ordered one secondhand off of eBay, so just to show you a little bit about that, let's put a clip in right here. Alright, so I got a used INJEN short ram intake for the car. Obviously just to replace that eBay one, we got our Weapon R filter because this one looks like it's seen better days. The reason I went with the used one is these are about $300 and a new cheap Chinese eBay one is about $50. I got this for $100, so for an extra $50 over eBay, I got a good one. So now all we have left to wrap up the intake stage of the Celica, I have my burr bits to port match the intake manifold. We have to get that high performance mass airflow sensor, which we will explain. Right here we got the custom one-off throttle body spacer, which we will explain and show some dyno graphs of as well. I have to get studs for this as well, as the stock bolts aren't going to fit through there. So all we need is studs for the one-off throttle body spacer, and then we need that high performance mass airflow sensor. Yeah, so stay tuned for that video coming up. But to start off with the first thing that I love about my Celica GTS, let's just take a look at it, you guys. I just love the way that this car looks. So obviously there were better platforms and drivetrains for this car throughout the generations. The 6th generation being the last generation that you get the all-track in this car. Unfortunately, all of that was dropped for the 7th gen Celica. So when the 7th gen came out, really the only upside to the 7th gen was the 2ZZ. And aside from the looks, which is going to be the first thing I like about this car, love the way it looks, especially with a body kit on it. Obviously we have the TRD replica wing in the back, we have a C1 lip in the front, some side skirts, different rear bumper. I think the car looks really nice. But the second thing that I love about this car is going to be the 2ZZ engine. The 2ZZ engine was a collaboration between Toyota and Yamaha to create an engine that screams in this little thing. And honestly, I think that the 2ZZ engine was the only reason the 7th generation Celica had success in the car community, because other than that, there wasn't a whole lot going for the car. I mean, they got rid of the all-track, they got rid of the convertible options, all that fun stuff that people had liked, they kind of got rid of to make this car cheaper. And although I think it looks better, I think for the car community, the 2ZZ GE had saved this car. I like to think of it as Toyota's Honda, because the 2ZZ GE had VVT LI, which means it changed the lift duration of the cam as well as just having variable valve timings. So on this particular one, which is a 2003 stock, you get it to 6,200 RPMs, and then your VTEC lift kicks in and this thing screams. If you really wanted to be dangerous, you could rev this thing past 8 grand, but that would be pushing it past its red line. And with the stock oil pump gears and pan that are in this thing, they tended to have oil starvation issues, so I don't know that I would recommend that. But that is going to be the second thing I love about my Celica GTS is the 2ZZ GE. Third thing that I love about this car is the manual transmission that is in the car. Now, if you look at some Motor Trend reviews, stuff like that, my favorite article is probably when they put the GTS against the Integra Type R. Now, as many of you may imagine, the Integra did win their comparison test, but the GTS Celica put up a really good fight. And the one gripe that they had is kind of one of the things that I like. They talked about this shifter. Now, my car does not have the standard shifter in it. I have a short shifter in my car, but I do love how notchy the 6-speed in this car feels. The gears are really, really close together, and that was Motor Trend's gripe on this transmission, is that the gears are really close together, so if you're doing any kind of aggressive driving, shifting can be a little bit of a pain. It is very easy to miss a gear in this car, but I like the way it feels. In a world where you get in a car and a lot of times I just hate how the shifter feels. It feels sloppy, the throws feel super long, the gears feel like there's a ton of space in between them. I love the 6-speed manual transmission that comes in this car, and the reason Toyota put the 6-speed in the GTS versus the 5-speed that came in the GT is it really optimizes the lift of the 2ZZ engine. So that is going to be number 3 of the 5 reasons I love my Celica GTS. Getting towards the end of our list, number 4 thing that I love about this car is the handling of this car. Pretty small car. Mine is lowered just a little bit, not coilovers, anything fancy. It's just on some eBay lowering springs. Bought the car like that, but even a stock 7th gen Celica handles really, really well. And it might have something to do with the fact it doesn't have much power. The 2ZZ is zippy, but it's not exactly fast, but the thing doesn't have hardly any torque steer. If you drive something like an SRT4, which obviously has a lot more power, but those things have horrendous torque steer, and this, it's basically non-existent. This thing feels like it wants to be a rear-wheel drive car. I love that it has no torque steer. I love that there's hardly any body roll. It just feels like a little slot car. I've said it before, it reminds me of a front-wheel drive little go-kart. Now, I realize front-wheel drive is not super ideal, but for the chassis that this car has, I think it handles extremely well. The 5th and final thing that I love about my Celica GTS is the looks and the comments that I get from other people. And I don't mean necessarily that I like the attention from it. It's kind of fun, but it kind of goes back to number 1, which was the aesthetic looks of this car, and that is that other people enjoy it, and it's really super amusing, you guys. I'll give you an example. I was at a gas station when I first bought this car a few months ago, and this guy who was 92 years old pulling a car trailer with a 60s muscle car on it, I don't even remember what it was, came up to me and he's like, wow, what is that? And you know, my generation, our generation, a couple up and a couple down from me, we all love our import tuner cars. His generation's not supposed to like that. I mean, he's supposed to look at this and be like, goddamn street racers. But this guy actually came up to me in his 90s and like appreciated this car. And I thought that was super cool. And he asked me what it was, and I told him it was a Toyota Celica. And he's like, oh yeah, man, I remember when those things came out. They were super cool. And I was like, yeah, thanks, dude. So I really like the fact that everyone can appreciate this car. You constantly get questions about it. It's just super awesome to see. So you guys, that is going to wrap up 5 things that I love about my Celica GTS. I have 5 things that I hate about my Celica GTS in my brain, in the old noodle, so stay tuned for that video. As always, thanks for watching, you guys. I really appreciate it. If you enjoy the content, make sure you drop a like down below, subscribe if you have not already, and make sure you comment so you have a chance to win one of our mystery boxes. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.